Okay, so you know those rumors we've been hearing about North Korean troops in Ukraine?
Yeah, the ones that have been floating around for
Well,
months.
it's not rumors anymore.
All
It's
right, yeah.
it's actually confirmed. North Korea has officially, publicly stated they've sent troops to Russia.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty big development. Official confirmation changes things.
It really does. And we're going to unpack this. We've got an article here from the Indian Express dated today, April 28th, 2025, that lays out a lot of the details.
Good source.
Yeah.
So, what's the plan? What are we digging into?
Right. So our mission today is to really get a handle on this. What does this official confirmation mean? Why do they say they're doing it? What's this about the Kursk region? And casualty figures, international reaction, the whole picture.
Got it. It's fascinating, isn't it? Going from whispers and intel reports to a full-blown announcement from Pyongyang itself
Yeah.
via KCNA, their state news agency, I assume.
Exactly, via KCNA. It
Yeah.
really does solidify their involvement publicly anyway, signals, a much tighter alliance.
Yeah. Definitely more than just sending ammo, which was the earlier concern.
Much more. The article is really clear. North Korea says these troops are there, quote, to support Russia in its war against Ukraine. And it gets specific.
Oh, absolutely.
The stated goal is helping Moscow in regaining control of the Kursk region. That's very direct, a specific combat role in a specific place.
Kursk. Okay. And this came from Kim Jong-un himself.
That's what's reported, yes.
Right.
He ordered the deployment.
Yeah.
And they're citing that mutual defense treaty they signed with Putin back in June 2024.
Yes, the treaty. That's the legal cover then.
Mhm.
It obliges immediate military help if either one is attacked, right?
That's the clause they seem to be leaning on. Though Ukraine attacking Kursk, is that Russia being attacked in the way the treaty might have originally envisioned?
Well, that's always the tricky part with these treaties, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interpretation. Especially when it involves actions within a conflict zone that one party initiated. It's often as much about political signaling as strict legal obligation.
Right. And the signaling from Kim Jong-un is intense.
How so? What's he saying?
The article quotes him aiming to, and this is direct, annihilate and wipe out the Ukrainian neo-Nazi occupiers and liberate the Kursk area.
Neo-Nazi occupiers. Okay. Strong language.
Very. He even calls the soldiers heroes and representatives of the honor of the motherland fighting for justice. It's quite the narrative.
That framing, the ideological justification, is very typical North Korean statecraft. Fighting neo-Nazis. Fighting for justice. It serves to legitimize the deployment internally and perhaps resonate with certain audiences globally.
Makes sense. And their state media is apparently running with this.
Oh, I bet. What does the article say about that?
It says they're describing the battle in Kursk as showing the highest strategic level of the firm militant friendship between North Korea and Russia. Like, this is the peak of their alliance in action.
Wow. They're really playing it up. Manufacturing a defining moment.
Yeah, and get this, they even claim North Korean units regarded the territory of Russia as the one of their country.
As their own country. That's going pretty far.
Yeah.
That suggests a really deep alignment, almost blurring national lines for this operation. More than just allies, almost. Unified.
It feels like it's heading that way rhetorically, yeah.
Yeah.
And Russia's confirming things on their end, too.
Yes. Valery Gerasimov, the chief of the general staff, he's confirmed North Korean soldiers fought in Kursk.
And was Moscow positive about their contribution?
According to the Kremlin readout mentioned in the article, yes, very positive. Praised their high professionalism, fortitude, courage, and heroism in battle.
So mutual admiration society, then. Both sides publicly acknowledging and, well, celebrating this cooperation.
It works for both of them, doesn't it? Shows the strength of their partnership, reassures their domestic audiences, projects unity. Standard practice, really, in these situations.
Okay, let's shift to the, maybe the grimmer side. Casualties. Troop numbers. North Korea isn't talking, obviously.
No, they wouldn't release those figures. What are the estimates saying?
Well, U.S., South Korean, and Ukrainian intelligence estimates from last fall suggested maybe 10,000 to 12,000 troops initially deployed.
10 to 12,000. That's a significant number.
And then South Korea's military put out a report in March. They estimated around 4,000 North Korean soldiers might have been killed or wounded by then.
4,000 casualties. Out of 10 or 12,000, that's a very high rate, if accurate.
It is. And the article also mentions South Korea reporting another 3,000 reinforcements sent earlier this year.
So they're doubling down despite the losses. That indicates a serious commitment. Why such high casualties, though? North Korean troops are generally seen as disciplined, well-trained.
True, but the article suggests a couple of reasons. One, maybe a lack of specific experience with the kind of drone and artillery warfare dominant in Ukraine right now.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Their training might be more focused on, say, large-scale infantry tactics, less on reacting to constant drone surveillance and precision strikes.
Exactly. And also just, unfamiliarity with the actual battlefield terrain in Kursk. Being disciplined doesn't mean, the ground or the specific threats of this war.
No, absolutely not. Modern warfare in Ukraine is very tech-heavy, very reliant on ISR intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance mostly from drones, and quick artillery responses. If you're not used to that specific rhythm and those threats,
Yeah.
yeah, you'd be vulnerable.
Right. And speaking of the ground, the situation in Kursk itself seems a bit contested.
How so? What are the claims?
Well, Moscow apparently claimed last week they'd pushed Ukrainian forces out of the last village there, claimed full control, essentially.
Okay, got it.
But Kiev disputes that. President Zelensky apparently says Sunday evening that Ukrainian forces are still operating in both Kursk and Belgorod regions. He said the situation remains difficult in many areas.
So conflicting reports in the battlefield. Not surprising, really. Both sides want to control the narrative. It just shows how hard it is to know for sure what's happening minute by minute.
Definitely need multiple sources there. Okay, finally, what about the U.S.? How are they reacting to this official confirmation?
The article says they're alarmed, which, again, is probably expected.
Yeah. A U.S. State Department spokesperson is quoted saying, "This deployment and any Russian support North Korea gets in return must end." Pretty blunt.
Mm-hmm. And they're putting responsibility on North Korea, too.
Yes. Saying third-party countries like North Korea bear responsibility for their part in the conflict seems like a hardening stance, maybe?
It certainly sounds like it. The U.S. sees this, likely, as not just prolonging the war, but also cementing that Moscow-Pyongyang axis, which has much broader geopolitical implications well beyond Ukraine, especially for stability in Northeast Asia.
Right. So let's try and sum this up. We have North Korea officially confirming troop deployment to Russia.
Check. Stated reason. Help Russia in Ukraine, specifically in the Kursk region.
Check. Justified under that mutual defense treaty, with Kim Jong-un framing it in very strong ideological terms, heroes fighting neo-Nazis.
Right. And Russia confirming their presence, praising their performance.
But on the flip side, potentially very high casualties reported by external intelligence, possibly due to a lack of experience with this specific type of modern warfare.
And the actual situation in Kursk still seems unclear, despite Russian claims.
While the U.S. expresses alarm and insists this involvement has to stop.
That seems to cover the key points from the article.
Yeah.
It really is a major shift having this out in the open.
It really is. Quite surprising, even if suspected. It marks a definite escalation in foreign involvement.
And highlights the human cost to those reported casualty figures, and just the sheer complexity of this war.
So here's the thing to maybe mull over. Thinking beyond today's news. With this defense pact being activated, or at least cited, and this kind of rhetoric, what are the bigger, longer-term strategic implications? If this alliance between Russia and North Korea keeps deepening like this, what does that mean? Not just for Ukraine, but, globally. For geopolitics down the road.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What does this signal about future alliances, about how conflicts might be fought with these kinds of partnerships?
Yeah.
It definitely raises some big questions about where things might be heading.
Yeah. Definitely something to keep thinking about.